Everybody, welcome to a Friday live stream, and happy Ramadan, as the author of Disney mentioned. It's very nice to see everybody, and yes, if you're a subscriber, the live chat is open to you today. There were two really fantastic trailers that came out yesterday. I have to make sure I have more time where I'm just here at my desk. I would have liked to have done this yesterday, but I just had stuff that came up. I had like a meeting and then I had to go somewhere in the early evening. And I promise you that going forward, I'm going to try and dedicate more time to being here so that we can do these things. So I think these trailers are really fantastic. But neither one of them really, Toy Story at least trended. House of the Dragon kind of trended with Jace trending, but not so much House of the Dragon. But I think that, they kind of like ate into each other's space, and it's just really kind of difficult for the entertainment business right now. But I think there's a lot of interesting things to go over, and I thought that we should do it. I thought we should do it. So I'm going to let you guys vote for which one we do first. Okay? I mean, you're the ones who showed up for the live. I mean, of course, this will be available after the fact, but we'll do a quick thing here. Which trailer do you want? Thank you, Bubbles. Do you want to break down first? Toy Story 5 or House of the Dragon? Now, even anyone could be in the live chat technically. You just have to hit the subscribe button. But anyone can vote. You just have to hit the poll and you'll be able to vote. I don't think it sent out a notification that this was live, which is frustrating. YouTube's not always very consistent. Okay, so let's just give it a moment. Let you guys vote. I hope you guys are having a great Friday. It's very rainy here. Might be another frickin' snowstorm here in New York City. Matt, you're chatting because you're a subscriber. All subscribers are welcome. Oh, you got a notification? You guys did get it? I didn't see it on my end. That's weird. YouTube. Okay, but I'm glad most of you did, and I'm glad you showed up here for this. Okay. All right, close it in just a second. It's close. It's close. Oh, and now it just came through on my end. You're in Japan. Oh, Chico, you're still in Japan. I love it. Okay. All right, I'm closing the poll. Okay, here we go. Toy Story went first. I love it. Okay, Toy Story 5, 58% to 42%. Don't worry, we'll do House of the Dragon right after. Okay, let me get this up here so I can see. Okay. So, Toy Story first. Oh, sorry. All right, so that's a very nice poster. I like it quite a bit. I'm pretty excited for this movie. I thought this trailer was better than I had anticipated. And there are some interesting things I want to talk about when we go through this. I think the most interesting you're going to see is that we're going to actually have a little conversation about toy inequity. So one of you pointed out that I predicted that they should have technology as the next story point for what they should do for Toy Story going forward. So maybe sometime in the future, Toy Story 6 will be about toy inequity. Okay, I think Rex isn't in the poster, Austin, because I think I think they wanted all the green to be drawn to the lily pad, whereas they're actually the same color. So I think that might be. They might have felt that would pull the focus from where they wanted you to look. All right, so here's our trailer. Now it starts with Forky. As many of you know, I'm not a big Forky fan, but I like Tony Hale. I think Tony Hale is hilarious. I really enjoyed him on Veep, and so I thought he was very funny in this trailer. So it made me like Forky a little bit more. But we open up with Forky getting married. Now, this is actually a good joke that I didn't recognize at first. So, Forky is a spoon and a fork. He's a spork. So if he's going to marry a knife, that makes him a complete place setting. That was a great joke. I really like that. So together they are a fork, a spoon, and a knife. I thought that was pretty funny. And I was like, I saw that in later shots, this knife is sticking around, man. And I was a little bit not happy about that until I saw who was voicing the knife. And that is actually Melissa Villasenor from Saturday Night Live, who I never felt really got enough attention on Saturday Night Live. I'm not going to have as many image overlays here as I normally would. This is more of a casual breakdown, but I'm glad that we're still able to talk it over. But yeah, I'm actually a big fan of Melissa Villasenor, so hopefully this will help her. I think she's actually a great match with Tony Hale. All right, so they're getting married. And it's, I said, I don't know if I would really enjoy somebody who was playing wedding, this kind of gave me flashbacks to play dates where I was like, get me out of here. As I've told you before, I had after battle dances with my action figures when I was growing up, but the main event was the battle. And here, some of you pointed out that it actually ends up being a murder mystery, when someone poisons, who do you know, Rex. So I wish they had started with it being a murder mystery instead. Let's see here. Look at Rex. He's wearing a necklace, and I think it looks like he's got heels on there. I thought this was kind of funny because it actually reminded me of, speaking of House of the Dragon and Game of Thrones, reminded me of King Joffrey, who also was poisoned at, I think it was supposed to be like his own wedding or his own engagement ceremony or something like that. So that's kind of what that reminded me of. So I do like that they have like a different style, like watercolors for Bonnie. Like it's like this fantasy world is like watercolors. It's a little Mary Poppins chalk drawing, quite frankly. And I think that kind of mirrors the books that the child in question is reading. Andy had the other fantasy with a Western, and I think that's interesting. You guys are calling it the Purple Wedding. I like it. That's very funny. Was that what it was called in Game of Thrones? Okay. So somebody poisoned poor Rex. So he's getting actually mouth to mouth from Buzz. I didn't notice that at first. You can see. Oh, look, she made the little pavilion out of her play pin. That's pretty cute. Although I have to say, I don't think, Bonnie's playing with these toys. I don't think that these are the toys that Bonnie would have picked if she had been allowed to choose her own toys. Her parents couldn't afford toys, so Andy very kindly gave her his toys. And, it really got me thinking about toy inequity. So I wanted to bring that up because I don't know, this is a little bit of a sidetrack, but I think it's important, okay? So, found family is different, movie order, because found family implies going out and finding the family that you want, not, making the best with what you have in front of you. I've never seen that the way of found family. I think found family has real agency to it, putting together the family that you want. And, I think Bonnie, with the New York Times has been running a piece on how people can afford to live in New York City and different scenarios and profiling some of the sacrifices and the strategies people have for making it work in a very expensive city, which is one of the reasons that Mamdani was elected. There was one family who lives up near Columbia, and I thought it was really interesting that because they can't afford new toys, they have 3 children. What they do is that they re-gift the oldest child's toys. They rewrap them at Christmas time and give those toys to the next child as gifts. And I thought that was was very interesting to see. I think that says something about our society that people can't afford things for their children. I think that is, that's the erasure of the middle class and stuff like that. But I think Well, do I think that her family couldn't? I don't know. I mean, I don't know why Andy would therefore give this little girl all his toys. If I think it seemed to me that that was the case. So I feel like when I was actually walking to work this morning, I saw an ad for a used book fair for children. And I thought that was really lovely, to give children an opportunity to get books, but to still feel like they were going to a bookstore, or, it didn't feel like these are the books we can give you, take them or leave them. I think it allows the child to still make a selection, to fall in love with something, to have that bond of having chosen it. And so I kind of wish that there was a way to do that with toys, instead of having them become garbage, which is something they kind of show that here. And also, I wanted to point out that because Toys for Tots, that's right, Justin. I donate to Toys for Tots every year. I don't know if you get to select your toy, though. But I also wanted to point out that because this whole discussion reminded me that because Bonnie really couldn't afford toys, her family couldn't really afford toys, that I think that them buying her a lily pad is an expense that they choose to make. And I hope the movie addresses that they're, trying to make sure their daughter is like her peers and can experience what everybody else can. But that's a big thing to you see a lot of people talking about that, hey, Echelon, that, some of these technology gifts are very expensive. So I think that's an interesting discussion as well. So I just wanted to call that out. I do think that's part of the story because of how Bonnie got these toys. Would Bonnie have bought herself a Buzz Lightyear and maybe a Jessie, but I don't think she would have played with Woody, but as evidenced by the fact that she doesn't miss Woody at all. She doesn't miss that toy. She's not, where'd Woody go? She doesn't care. I mean, she's making do with the toys that were given to her. And so I think that, I'm also, by the way, I wanted to say I'm surprised that her parents let her play with a plastic knife. I'd be like, I know it's plastic, but Bonnie, you can't play with a knife. Okay. Okay, so they're like, we got you something. And so as I said, we know so little about her parents. I felt we kind of knew a little about Andy's mom. Not really, though. But, Bonnie's dad came out of nowhere in Toy Story 4. We were like, where's this dude been? So I'd like to know a little bit more about her parents. People say she's not getting older, but she seems a little older to me. She seems older to me. She seems like she's getting kind of big, maybe a little bit too. I think that might be part of it as well. Maybe is that she's moving to technology. She seems a little older here to play with toys, actually, particularly the toys that she's playing with. She's playing with toys for a much younger child, I think. All right. So they got her. Look in the background there. Where's my arrow? In the background there, look, there's Jessie and Bullseye with a front row seat to what's happening. They're going to be like, what the heck is this thing? So yeah, that's something else that we discovered, that Jessie has kind of taken over as the toy in charge in this movie. It used to be Woody, and now Jessie's in charge, which I think is a nice choice for a girls' playroom. But at the same time, I wonder how audiences will react to that. All right, so I like the detail that the iPad's eyes turn on when you turn it on, like it wakes up. I think that's pretty great. And you better believe that Disney's going to sell you this, or this cover to go on your iPad. But I thought that was pretty nice attention to detail and good product design. So, hi. Oh, wow. Welcome to the rest of your life. I'm just going to suck you in. So, I love the joke about extinction again. I thought that was hilarious. I think that was a good joke. And you can see there's Forky with his bride right there in the front. Okay. So, wow, she is addicted to this toy. Although, I just noticed, look, I think I'm not sure if that's the dad or the mom, but one of her parents right behind her is on their phone. Is this learned behavior? And there's poor Jessie and Bullseye still on the chair. This maybe is later that day. I bet they do a hard cut to after she opens that, like it's dinner time and she's still on this thing. It's very scary, you know. I think all of us have at some point been like, I think I might spend too much time on my device. And they have a Roomba. They have a lot of tech, you know. Um, and she just moves out of the way. As you can see, yeah, she's just on this thing all the time. Okay. By the way, I think you can set it to that just go off, you know? Yeah, I don't know how they have a Roomba tall guy. So I don't know why they don't just buy Bonnie some toys that she is into. Okay. So Jesse, and look at the expression on Bullseye's face. I like that Bullseye can't even talk, but is there for emotional support. You know, Bullseye's like, yeah, we don't like you. So they're reading this new toy, the Riot Act. They're like, hey, Pad. They're like, we've been working on getting Bonnie friends all summer. So Bonnie wants to play with toys. She looks pretty cute there. And these are her friends who you can see all have lily pads as well. All they seem to have different animals. So I think that, I mean, I appreciate that Pixar is trying to have different demographics represented, but I think like a lot of times with Disney products these days, it seemed like that's the, you know, like it just is so obvious, you know. You know, I think it would be better to have like one more kid, you know, like, I don't know. It literally looks like they're checking boxes with these kids. So they're like, and also it reminds me exactly of the friend group from Inside Out. And so you don't want these. That's right. They do seem like Riley's friends, Brandon. We had the same feeling, you know, like it just doesn't feel organic, you know? Okay. So then she's like, are you, so this kid's looking, so the iPad is scrolling. The iPad's not even paying attention, or the lily pad is going through the internet, and she's like, you're not even listening to me. And I love the joke. Love the joke that lily pad says, I'm always listening. Because, of course, your devices are always listening to you. Was there a Finding Nemo Easter egg? Let's go back and see it. What was she looking up there? I can't see what that says. I guess maybe. That's funny. Okay. Okay, so she says, how about in Spanish? So she plays back exactly what Jesse said and says, I can do it in Spanish too. That's great animation on Jesse. That's great animation. Although I have to say, I agree with people that Joan Cusack's voice does sound older. You know, I don't know I don't know. Some people's voices change as they get older. Some don't. I think that Tim Allen and Tom Hanks sound mostly the same, but for some reason Joan Cusack sounds older, you know? And I don't know if maybe they should have. Does Tom Hanks sound a little older here? I didn't note that. But maybe they should have you know, maybe they should have, you know, done a little bit in the editing to make it seem more like the voice did before. Okay. So this is fantastic. So here we go. So Jesse is keeping in touch, we find out, with Woody. So Woody did leave the group. He is on the road with Bo Peep, but they're using a walkie-talkie to keep in touch. So he must not be far away. And they're talking about the fact that tech has invaded the room. Thanks, Lila. And that also toys are being thrown away. Okay, so that's what Woody is up to. You can see he's up there. They're rescuing this poor trapped toy. And by the way, who's down in front on the right there? Let me get my arrow. Boom Kaboom, Keanu Reeves' character, so he's still there. So Woody, Bo Peep, and Boom Kaboom are still, you know, they're a different group of toys, and they're going around rescuing toys. Who are thrown away or discarded, you know, out in the wilderness. And here's a cute little toy. I'm not quite sure what kind of toy he is, but he's like, seems like a Mexican wrestler toy. And I think that's pretty adorable. So he's stuck. He's like, it's so horrible. Aw. So I guess they're going to add him to the group. Oh, Duke Kaboom. Sorry. I had it written down here. Yeah, that's what I get for not reading my own notes. Okay. So, you know, Woody says toys are for playing, but tech is for everything. Oh, he's a little peanut? I don't know if he's a I don't know if maybe he's a peanut, but I don't know what kind of a toy he would be. Okay. Okay, so tech is for everything, and that's pretty demoralizing. And you can see on they have W for talking to Woody, and he has a J on his for talking to Jesse. All right. So he comes back. He's back. The return of Woody, who for some reason did not bring Bo Peep or Duke Kaboom. There he's like, I'll go back by myself, guys. So he comes back, and Forky's like, "Why are you wearing a dress, man?" And he says it's a poncho, but of course, it's a nod to Clint Eastwood, who so famously wore this in his spaghetti westerns that were made in Italy and made Clint Eastwood famous. And actually, this very look is referenced, for instance, in Back to the Future 3. So he's back in town, and then one of the best jokes is he takes off his hat, and some of the brown paint is worn off to create a shiny bald spot. And they have a great gag where they said, somebody needs a brown marker. Although the internet, which remains undefeated, pointed out that he had a bald spot beforehand in Toy Story 2, which had been restored by the toy restoration artist. But there's no such person now. And I think that's a good way to have the toys kind of represent the passage of time and getting older, even though a toy doesn't actually age. But it can have wear and tear just like a human. So I thought that was pretty funny. One of my favorite things, the best jokes I saw online was someone said Toy Story 6 would be Woody goes to Turkey and gets hair transplants. I thought that was pretty hilarious. So he's back. And there's Buzz. We finally see Buzz, and they're reunited. It's like, good to see you, man. Oh, I love it. And I thought this was hilarious. Where Lilypad's like, are you some old man toy? And Forky says it's because she's calling you old because of your bald spot. There it is again. Oh, poor Woody. But that's hilarious. But also what she means is, he's a very old toy, which I think is a fair point, by the way. I can't believe, I think he makes for a nice collectible, but as I said, Bonnie didn't even miss the fact that he was gone. That's right. Greta Lee is voicing the Lilypad from the latest, not only from past lives, but of course the last movie, Tron Ares. But here, Lilypad has a really good comeback, and she says Bonnie deserves a toy from the same century that she was born in. And I thought that was a pretty solid burn. Now this is interesting. Bonnie is with these girls, and they're all just on their iPad, on their lily pads or whatever. And you can see that Bonnie's heart isn't into it. By the way, this is exactly like Inside Out 2. I would think that they would kind of, I'm surprised they didn't give themselves the same note and being like, these are the same problems that Riley had. She had a hard time, and her heart really wasn't in playing with her friend group either. But yeah, so she's like, she really would prefer obviously to play with toys, but she's stuck having to be on her lily pad because that's what the rest of the group is doing. I'd be like, are these the only 3 girls on the face of the earth, Bonnie? Let's go find some other kids. Okay. I'd be like, this is not your friend group. Okay. So Lily, looks like Lilypad is a hacker, and she's gonna get rid of these toys, and somehow figures out how to get them on the go. And so Buzz says, we need help, and they bring in a whole bunch of Buzz Lightyears. I have mixed feelings about this, okay? I feel like we've seen this kind of humor a lot of times. I hope it's well done, but like, look at this. When they're all playing around with the camping equipment, that's like, not only do they remind me of the little green men, but also the recent little mini Stay Puft Marshmallow Men in the last Ghostbusters movie. So I kind of feel like I've seen this gag before, but I hope they find something unique about it to make it worth it. So times may change. Oh, by the way, that's Conan O'Brien as a potty training tool. I don't know who for. Bonnie is pretty big at this point. I mean, if you're on an iPad and you still don't know how to use the potty, I mean, I guess babies use the potty. I mean, use iPads. But yeah, so that's Conan O'Brien as a potty training device. I'd be like, nobody touch him. Don't touch that toy. Okay. He's from the bathroom. So there's Buzz with all the other buzzes, which I think is hilarious. And they're like, and oh, he's saying one of the best lines. He says, a toy's mission is to make a child happy. And I thought that was lovely. I thought that was really, really nice. And that's, by the way, the exact same shot from, I think, Toy Story 2, when Jessie was remembering what it was like when she was with her first child. You know, Eric, maybe Bonnie has a younger sibling. That would be nice, you know? Andy had a sister, but we never talked to her. She didn't want his toys. Okay. So, see, who's she with? Jessie. She's with Jessie. Thank you very much. So, I think that's nice. Jessie, I think, is a good choice for her. Okay. And so that's pretty nice. And so there's Jessie leading the charge. I hope we don't have to deal with a bunch of toxic channels saying, oh, why is Jessie in the lead and why is Jessie the main character, etc., etc. Because it's a little girl's room, you know? But everybody's on some kind of animal. You can see everybody has gotten something to ride on. Okay. She's like, come on, Bullseye, and they're charging off. There was another thing where did that go? Here, this one. I forgot to see this shot. That's a nice one. I like this shot. Boy, there are a lot of buzzes in there. But I like this shot. I wonder if Jessie and Buzz are still a thing. There was always a flirtation there, but, you know, I don't know. Maybe they're in a situationship. I'd love to see that discussed. You know, you're like, neither one of them will commit, but they're still doing the dance. Okay. So here we go. Who's on her shoulder? Is that the peanut? No, I wonder what's that on her shoulder. I'm not sure. I wonder what that's going to be. Okay. And then here he's like, Woody's like, I'm going to take care of this. And I love that Buzz is like, you don't think I can do it. So they have another great moment where they're on the run. They're so iconic together. And he goes, nice poncho. And then it flies. I love this shot, by the way. That's a gorgeous shot. This is what I used for my screen grab because it just looks so great. It has so much action to it. But then right in the face, this is, you know, Edna Mode should pop up and go, this is why no capes or ponchos, because this is what happens. So I just loved that. Look, and great physical comedy. They do a great job with the animation. That's just really funny. So, and they're like, it's so great to see them arguing again. And we're like, it is. Toy Story 5. I think they definitely have $1 billion here. I think definitely. Let's go back to that little photo there. That's great. That's great. That's really great. Great animation. So, does anybody have questions or comments about this trailer before we move to House of the Dragon? Oh, you don't like the animation change for the human characters, Billy? I mean, I think it's just gotten better over time. Tall Guy also agrees. I think it's just a slam dunk for $1 billion. Ulysses says in the last movie, Woody made her sheriff and gave her his badge. He did, but I also see a badge kind of sticker on Buzz, too. Sunshine, Bo Peep is there, but I don't believe she's coming back to the house. She's still off in the woods. Oh, Buzz's stickers are falling off. Oh, hey, Nicola. Ciao to you as well. Oh, Lloyd says, do you think Toy Story 5 can come close to 2 billion like Zootopia? I don't know. I don't know. The whole reason that, I mean, you really have to be popular in Asia. And I'm not quite sure if that's going to be the case. Yeah, I wonder what happened to Barbie and Ken. Hole for Harry. That's. I hope that's a PG meaning behind that name. But I think that maybe Mattel was like, we want to do our own thing now, you know? Brandon says even conservatives are loving tech versus toys. It's a universal thing, I think. Well, they might be at the care center, but they could come visit. I loved Barbie and Ken. They were great. But instead we have now Forky and whatever that knife's name is. I think it was Karen or something. Oh, Jose says Toy Story is popular in Asia. I hope so. That would be great. That would be great. Hey, the Brook of Magic, Tarot. I see you there. But I don't know if it's going to be, I think it's going to make $1 billion, and it might even make like maybe $1.5 billion. But still, let's not get ahead of ourselves. But I think it's going to do extraordinarily well. I think it's extremely good. And I think it seems really timely, which I think is also great. Amara says, do I need to have seen Toy Story 4? I don't think so. I mean, I think that they're aware. They just want you to see the movie. I don't think you have to be too concerned about that. All right, I think we're ready for the next one. Okay. All right. Abdul says, what about tech with the parents, or is this only about kids? Because they had that shot, because they had the shot where the parent was also on the device, right there, that to me says it's probably going to be its learned behavior. Because that mirroring, I think, is just too obvious. And it's too well done. I think it has to be intentional. And I think that's quite clever. I think it is learned behavior. If you're going to spend all day on your device, of course your kid is. You should be with each other, So I think it's great. Thanks, Leo. Yes, if you could like the stream, I would appreciate it. All right. Let's go now to House of the Dragon. Okay. Okay. Got my arrow here. Now, what I want to bring up to you, starting off, is House of the Dragon story points. Because I think that it has been too long since House of the Dragon was on. I forgot most of the stuff as well. Hey, 80s model. And I was like, who's going to remember all this shit? I was like, it's been forever. And then it's like, oh yeah, it's my job to remember it. So I started to do my research into this new season, and it was actually quite rewarding. So it made me enjoy the trailer a lot more. And so I'm happy to help you enjoy it more as well. So we're doing House of the Dragon is the Dance of Dragons. Okay, it's the Dance of Dragons storyline, and they're following all the beats in that conflict very well. So somebody said, for instance, will we have the God's Eye battle at the end of this season? No, but you might get a look at God's Eye. So where's my arrow? I think we're going to start with the Battle of the Gullet, okay, which is why Jace was trending. That's all I'll say. He's a key player in the Battle of the Gullet. So that's why I think Jace was the one to trend yesterday. Then there's the Battle of Honeywine, which there's actually a shot of in this trailer that I'll point out to you, where Ormond Hightower is not only a major player, who's a new character this season, Alicent's brother, but then also her child, Darren, who she sent to live over there, so he's a little less bizarre, but still a dragon rider with Tessarion, the blue dragon. Darren is a key player in that battle as well. Then there's another battle, the Red Fork and the Fish Feed. Now, this is a little bit more complex, but I will say when you get to the fish feed part of this, that takes place on the shores of God's Eye. Now, God's Eye is the biggest lake in the Seven Kingdoms. It's got an island in the middle of it, so that's like the pupil in an eye. But then also, this is a very important location for Aemond. That's all I'll say as well. I don't want to give away big spoilers, but also I need to acknowledge that I know things for those people who do know the spoilers. It's always very hard to cover House of the Dragon and Game of Thrones. I don't think that season 3 will be the last, unless the ratings are not good, but I think they'll be okay. And I don't think you're going to get to the battle over God's Eye. I think you're going to end maybe with the fall of King's Landing. I think there's a very strong chance, because they're going to show you all this, that maybe they just lead up to the fall of King's Landing at the end of season 3, and they save that for season 4. Now, in the book, what helped the blacks take over the greens, what helped Rhaenyra take over King's Landing was the City Watch, aka the Gold Cloaks, were still loyal to Daemon. However, it seems to show here on the series that there's some sort of still flirtation or at least bond with Alicent, and perhaps Alicent will be the one to tip the scales. But we'll see what they decide to do. George R.R. Martin has made it very clear that he does not like the changes that Ryan Condal is making to his story. But Ryan Condal has been making some changes. He made a very considerable one with Blood and Cheese, which is why I think it was, I forget the exact name. I think it's Blood and Cheese. I know one of them's cheese. But it was a considerable change. And I know that really upset George R.R. Martin. Okay. But we'll see. So I definitely think this season will cover these events. And maybe it'll end on King's Landing, but it's only 8 episodes. So I think it's more than likely it'll set it up. So we'll see. Oh, Blood and Cheese is right. Thank you, Faye. Okay. So let's go through this trailer. All right. So, as you might recall, Alicent slipped out to go and see Rhaenyra at the end of the last season, which was a new element. So everybody was really surprised about that. And then Alicent and Rhaenyra shippers were like, oh, it's the greatest thing to ever happen. And of course, she's fearful of her son. She feels all of her kids are nuts. And so, she might as well help Rhaenyra, but come back and take the throne room. So here they are planning. They're planning the attack on King's Landing. And she's like, don't worry, Alicent's going to let us in. It's going to be great, everybody. And, her son, here's Alicent. Is she a traitor? And her son, Daemon's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. But her son is like, there's Jace saying, I wouldn't trust Alicent. And we'll see. I think and nobody knows if she should trust Alicent because, no, not 8 seasons, 8 episodes. I'm sorry if I misspoke. 8 episodes. Yeah. It's only 8 episodes this season, just like the last one, which was short. The first season was 10 episodes, but HBO just can't afford that because these episodes are, it's a very expensive show, although they could only afford 6 episodes of A Night of the Seven Kingdoms, and that's a very inexpensive show. All right, so I think it's interesting, who has Rhaenyra's ear? She's not only this mother and wife, but she's the queen or hopeful queen, hopeful. And so, whoever has her ear controls her. And, Daemon is, I don't even know if this is the same scene, but, Daemon is, very territorial. And still to some degree wishes he was king. By the way, I always will think of Jace as Zoolander and Aemond as Owen Wilson from those movies. I mean, it's just hilarious. That was just, you can't unsee it once you see it. Okay, so this is actually a Baela Targaryen. So this is Daemon's daughter. She's actually a Valyrian, and you might recall at the end of last season, but you probably don't because it was so long ago. But Corlys Velaryon took her aside and said, do you want to run my kingdom? And she was like, not really. I'm not interested in being on the water. I just recently rewatched the Dave Chappelle, the Dave Chappelle's House of the Dragon sketch. And he was really funny. He was just hilarious. I'm not sure if she's going to take Nettles' role, Faye. I would think if Nettles was in this season, they would have already shown her. But, they haven't shown anything about, that's another point. Rhaenyra is getting regular people to be dragon riders. Or actually, the idea is there are so many bastard Targaryens out there. Everybody's got a little dragon blood in them. So remember, she found some people at the end of last season. But, they're supposed to be, there was also that Valyrian bastard who got a dragon. Where the heck is that? So, this is only a teaser trailer, of course. So, but she turned her grandfather down flat and she said, I don't want to be involved in running sea stuff and ships. I'm a Targaryen. And I'd be like, it's pretty crowded over there on the Targaryen side. I don't know. if there's room for you in a leadership position. So maybe you should take this one. So, but Corlys didn't think of that. Okay. So here, don't forget, here is Aegon II, burned to a crisp in the Rook's Rest fight by his own brother, Aemon, by the way. And Larys Strong has taken him on the run. So and Larys has a horrible limp. So this must be taking forever. But yeah, so this is an important subplot as well. And there are a couple of shots of Aegon here, actually. So yeah, so they're on the move. Now this is great. So there is Darren's dragon. Ooh. And as you can see, this is, how they, I guess this dragon, this is the first time we've seen a dragon have to be contained. I'm surprised about that. Usually they're walking around on the beach just fine. So maybe because they live maybe because Darren went to live with the high towers, they don't really trust dragons in the same way that Targaryens do. I'm not sure if it's the same actor who plays Link, Jose. That's a rumor. But they had another actor, Charlie something, who's been rumored to play Darren, and they don't show him here. So we're not quite sure exactly who's playing Darren. We'll see. But this is his dragon. She's blue. But they don't, they're not really giving her a lot of free reign here. So there is Ormond Hightower. So this shot has to be from the Battle of Honeywine. So this, as you can see, they're very, even though they might be making some changes, Ryan Condal is still hitting all the major points. So this has to be the Battle of Honeywine. So we'll see what happens here, but it has a lot of, Darren and his dragon are a major factor here. So that should be a cool battle. Okay. Although, I love this. Is that Vhagar? I think it's Vhagar. And I saw this. I was like, Vhagar, you old bitch. Like, that dragon's just mean. Just a really cruel dragon. I'm not sure it's so huge. I think it might be Vhagar. I'm not sure. Right? It is Vhagar. That Vhagar. Remember from last season? Vhagar was just so horribly mean. Like, just really, really mean. So, and as you can see right here, just totally flambeing these poor soldiers. So I'm excited for us to make fun of Vhagar in season 3. So let's see. We got all our leaders here. Now you can see here they are at sea. This is Battle of the Gullet. They don't show you too much of this though. So, I like this. And a dragon footprint. And look how big. It must be Vhagar's foot, because only Vhagar, I think, is that big. Vhagar's so big. Look at that. I'm standing in a dragon toe, man. That's fantastic. And there we go. There's Caraxes, and there's Daemon on there. I love that with his blood red dragon. I like he's just being kind of swirled around. He's like, woo, whatever, man. I love it. His dragon's not stuck in some cage. And then, okay, we got some more. And there is Aegon killing, looks like some poor kid, although you don't know for sure. But he's having a rough time. Did I miss anything here? I don't think so. No. Okay. So there's a great shot of Daemon. Matt Smith has to do all the heavy lifting on this show. It's pretty nuts, He really has to work hard to keep this thing afloat. But he does a good job. So let's see. So does Ewan Mitchell. He looks a little bit. He looks a little smoother, a little bit. I'm not sure what's going on here. He looks great. I'm a big Aemond fan as well. So let's see here. Now that's the Battle of the Gullet. So it's a huge naval battle, which I think makes it even more expensive because they have to have them on ships over water. So we'll see how that turns out. It should be a full episode. And that's Jace. That's Jace in battle. This is a really important scene. Sequence. So it's going to be let's just say defining moment for him. And there's Sir Criston Cole. Ugh, hate that guy. Okay? He's everybody's ex. Ugh. All right, then this is one of my favorites. So everybody was like, "Oh no, she seems horrified." Someone said, "Oh, are they giving away that she rides a dragon?" She can't ride a dragon. Maybe she's just wearing gloves, man. Maybe she's just wearing gloves, you know? But let's see. Watch her be riding a dragon. Everyone's like, "I told you." But I love this shot, of a knight swinging their sword and just a fire raging behind him. I think that is like when you see this shot, you're like, that's House of the Dragon. That's why there's still a place for it. Even though everybody's loving A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, and I'm glad they are, I love it too. I think that it's, a big part of this show is the budget and like that it's so cinematic. And, boy, she's going to have another rough time, boy. All right, I think, more sea battle stuff. Someone gets thrown in the drink. And then there you go, House of the Dragon, June. So that's going to be great. It's going to start in June. So I'm very excited about that. And then so it's going to run probably for the rest of the summer. So it's 8 episodes. So it'll run, probably like through, I don't know if it'll be early June. We'll see. But I'm pretty excited about it. So yeah, that's how I feel this one's going to work. Does anybody have questions or comments about this? Do I think it'll make it for Emmy consideration, Shahar? No, I don't. I don't think House of the Dragon is an Emmy level show. I think that A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms might because it's so stripped down. Do I think it'll make the voting block? I don't think it'll get nominations, to be honest with you. I think there's too much other really amazing. I mean, this is a blockbuster, and I think that it serves that space. I don't think it's like awards winning content, to be honest with you. Of course, I'm ready for a new season of X-Men 97, although I'm curious to see what it's like with the new creative control. Nicholas, I hope these episodes are an hour long. I hope they're not looking at 45 minutes. I think that would be a disaster. I agree. If they're going to be only 8 episodes, they should each be an hour. Elliot wants to point out that Damon's other daughter, Rhaenyra, Rhaena, who just found a dragon, remember that, is taking over the Nettles storyline. That would be unfortunate because, I like that character a lot. I like the actress they chose. But, and I think that we all could see that happening. But I feel like Nettles is such an important character because she's not royalty. Griffin says, do you think they could speed up the time or they're locked into 2-year intervals? They're locked into 2-year intervals. A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms will be every year. However, they said the season 4 won't come out until 2028. I think they can't. It's too big. The production is too big. I think the fact they can get it to you every 2 years is impressive. Katarina, I think Aegon the Conqueror is going to be a movie, they said. Nagin says, Grace, how can this possibly happen when they only got one battle last season? I think they heard everybody's dissatisfaction. And I don't think that any of these battles, where's my arrow? That's why I think King's Landing is going to be saved for season 4, to be honest with you. I think that they only have the money for these battles and to set up the fall of King's Landing. I think that's one of the reasons I don't think they're going to get to it. No, I don't think Millie Alcock will return, Oace. And why should she? She's Supergirl, and I think that would be unfair to Emma Darcy, who's doing, I think, a wonderful job in the role. The Brook of Magic. I don't know about Henry Cavill for Aegon. I think his time might have passed. Let's see how Highlander does. Do I have a favorite Targaryen Maverick? Aemond, for sure. I love his swagger. I love that his hair is perfectly straightened. I mean, who's up there straightening his hair for him? It's fantastic. Humidity can't get Aemond. Let's see here. Oh, Cyber wants to point out that Millie did come back for a season 2 flashback. Yeah, but I think that was nice, but we don't need any more flashbacks. I mean, I don't think that's a good use of our time. That's right. Aemond will be in Harrenhal in season 3. Well, we'll see if he gets to Harrenhal, Frank. He might. I think the Red Fork and the fish feed might maybe involve Harrenhal, but I think he's definitely gonna be heading towards Harrenhal, but I don't know if he'll actually be there during the season. Madab says, "Do you know all the plot points?" I know the ones from the books, but I don't know what Ryan Condal might have changed. That is what I think we're all wondering. Yeah, Oasis, I'd like to see Rhaenyra actually in action once again in the field. I think Rhaenyra spends, let's get her poster up here. I think she spends a lot of time these days, you know, just kind of complaining that she's not queen. A lot of complaining over there in the black sides, with the Targaryens. My favorite dragon? Well, let's see what this new blue dragon Tessarian's got going on. My favorite dragon is Toothless, thank you very much. He can do barrel rolls. He's like a little sports car. A lot of these other dragons just seem like you're driving a building. But I guess that's true. They're just so big. David says, "Do you think that Ryan Condal will just go nuts with changes since George is already upset with him?" I don't think he will because he doesn't want the fans to be upset. I think Ryan Condal believes he's doing a good job. And I think I know, I don't think season 2 was as bad as everyone else did. I was disappointed that more didn't happen. It was really just a huge setup for another season, but this is that season. And I think I would level the same criticism, by the way, at Fallout season 2 as well. Fallout season 2 to me is not that interesting, but it does seem to be setting up a really great season 3. Uh, Mika, I'm glad you like Toothless as well. Let's see. Muma says, "Hey Grace, what would your idea be for a Game of Thrones theme park attraction?" Well, you'd have to have a dinner show, right? I think that would be a lot of fun. I think maybe you have to be riding dragons, and that would be pretty easy because you could just yoink borrow the same technology or be inspired by the same technology as Flights of Passage, where you ride one of the animals. I forget what they're called in Avatar. You're riding one of those animals, and it's extremely realistic. You really feel like you are. So I think that it would be easy to do that for getting a chance to ride a dragon. That would be really great. That's funny. Another Wanda stand. I agree. Tennille says Rhaenyra doesn't fight in the books. Well, she is kind of in action with the fall of King's Landing. I mean, she is on the field, so to speak. Maverick, I'm not sure how to come up with a dragon name. Your dragon name would be Manhattan's Knight. I don't know. I'm not sure. That's right, Madav. I noticed that as well. We've got 2 Wanda stands in the house. I love it. Always thinking of Wanda's attorney. Big Mosa, I did read A Night of the Seven Kingdoms comics, but I have to say, I thought the second one was so uninteresting that I started to read it and then I scanned the rest of it just for the basic plot points. And I was glad to see Dunk. I mean, Dunk got a little action, but not as much action as I think people would hope for in a Game of Thrones show. I hope that Ira Parker can make a lot of changes to season 2. You'll see. We'll talk about it on Sunday. Ira Parker is allowed to make changes, as you're about to find out. And we'll talk about it on Sunday evening after you watch the season finale. Nagin's Starfire is a great dragon name. I don't remember Bloodworm, that dragon. Sorry, Bloodworm. Sorry if I forgot about you. It's taken too long. I mean, I need my little dragon cheat card. I kind of like this new dragon, Tessarian. Tessarian seems lean and mean. Greystone, I'm not sure how much longer House of the Dragon will go on for. I think it has enough maybe even for 5 seasons. And that's right, Katarina. I do see a split in the fandom, but I think everyone will come back. I think people will come back. I think people are just in love with the content that's in front of them right now. I think people will come back. No, Bloodworm isn't Damon's long-necked dragon. Isn't that Caraxes? All right. And Elise is correct. There are, George R.R. Martin has revealed he has 10 ideas for Dunk and Egg Adventures, which he told Ira Parker about, which have not been published. Maybe some of those things will be used in the new stuff because season 2 is about a dam, like a dam diverting a stream. What? They're better. I mean, there's some flashbacks and other things in there, and they do talk about some things, but that's not enough. I think there's just not enough there. Let's see. Isn't Caraxes his name? Caraxes isn't a type of dragon. I gotta look up the dragons again. Oh, Caraxes the Bloodworm. So he's got a first and a last name? Ah, I'm sorry, Mr. Bloodworm, or Caraxes to his friends. That's fantastic. I mean, you cannot give these dragons so many names, man. That's nuts. All right, so Lila, that's the stream. We're at an hour. I had a wonderful time talking to you guys today. I think we had a good time. I'm glad we got to 3 live streams this week, and next week there will be more live streams, and there will be reviews and other videos and stuff. And I had some personal stuff that I had to do the past 2 weeks, and so that slowed me down a little bit. But I will be really able to just sit here and do my work. So I'm looking forward to that. And there might be a snowstorm on Monday, but let's see what happens. All right, everybody, have a great weekend, and I will see you on Sunday for Movie Math and also my Night of the Seven Kingdoms breakdown. Okay, everybody, see you soon. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.